Good afternoon, and I'd like to welcome Regan Tai to our Enterprise Tomorrow Conversation Series. Regan, it's a pleasure to have you to share, some points of view and your thoughts on pertinent HR issues that the industry has been facing. But before we go ahead with the talk, I'd like to perhaps give you some time to introduce yourself. So over to you, Regan.
Sure. Thank you, David, for having me here. My name is Regan Tai, and I'm the head of human resources for Marriott in Asia Pacific. I've been with the company for 21 years, and my career has always been in hospitality. We currently have a huge presence in Asia Pacific and represent multiple brands in global brands around the world.
Great, thank you so much, Regan. And it's once again a pleasure to have you on board, and look forward to some of the insights that you'll be sharing. I guess the first question, as always on everybody's mind in the current environment, is post-COVID, or the new normal as we're transitioning into that. How has Marriott dealt with that? And what are the innovations? What are some of the things that you guys have been doing behind the scenes to really innovate and adjust to this new normal? Would love to be able to hear from you on that.
Yeah, I think it's no secret that our hospitality industry has been hard hit by the pandemic, especially in countries or markets where they're very highly reliant on international or cross-border travelers. And so overnight, we've kind of seen very healthy occupancy levels, almost, come to a screeching halt. So obviously, the last year has been quite challenging for us in not only in Asia Pacific, but globally around the world. I think this is probably a global pandemic that has hit us in every corner. I think, as we are coming out of the pandemic, the situation varies from country to country, market to market. I think the countries where there is a high domestic traveler, where they can rely on domestic business. So, for example, in mainland China, business has recovered very quickly. I think it also depends how quickly governments have been able to control the virus. And so, you have places like Australia, where the government was able to control it, and also they have a big domestic market. These are the markets where we're seeing business come back very quickly. I think from an innovation perspective, obviously we have to pivot, and it's all about local. Right? So how do we attract local business? So I know, many countries are doing staycations, staycation packages or local leisure business. In fact, for example, in China, Sanya has done, better than in the past years, pre-COVID, because people don't have anywhere to go, right? In the past, Chinese may go to Phuket, they go to Bali. Now they have nowhere to go, so they go to Sanya, to Hainan Island. So our business there is actually very good. So it's really around how do we attract and cater our services to business. Food and beverage is the other big area that we've been focusing on. Delivery, food and beverage delivery, takeout. So those are sort of things that we've been innovating from a consumer perspective. I think from a talent perspective, we have obviously how do we retain and continue to develop our talent through all of this, right? And have the least amount of damage to our associates. And fortunate thing for us is, as a company, we continue to grow. Last year we opened 75 hotels. This year we're going to open about 100 hotels. And so there has been a huge focus on trying to encourage transfer. So we actually, have almost mandate that you can't hire externally until you consider all the internal candidates already. Right? And so we've obviously facilitated a lot of that just to help people, ensure that they continue to have a career with us. And at the same time, it's the right thing to do, right? To help people continue to grow their careers, which is a big part of our philosophy.
Sure. Great. I mean, that's important, right? But I guess a follow-on question, if you don't mind me asking, Regan, is how do you then drive the resilience, or how do you,
Mhm.
manage employee adaptability, resilience? Obviously, I'm sure there has been turnover, or
Mhm.
that you may have in certain regions have had to cut back. Or let people go. How do you continue to maintain that employee resilience and adaptability? Because I think in the current environment, that's a really important culture and competency to have, isn't it?
Mhm. Yeah. No, it was tough, frankly speaking, because obviously when all this started, we have no idea how long this is going to last. And in some countries, as we know, things are still pretty rough in terms of business coming back. Um, yeah, I think we're fortunate that Marriott as a company has a very strong company culture. And I believe that it is our company culture that has helped us navigate through this pandemic. Our culture has always been one around putting people first. It's really around taking care of people. And so you sort of have this um, emotional bank account with our associates that we can draw on. Unfortunately, obviously it's taken a hit, and our focus is here is how do we continue to rebuild that relationship and that bank account with our associates. Throughout the pandemic, we obviously we encourage our associates to continue to learn. So, we have a lot of online resources, online learning that are made available. And so we've, been able to, curate a lot of these resources. And, associates, if they are at home, they can, rather than sitting around idly, they can continue to develop themselves and learn. That was one thing that we encouraged. Where it was safe, we did a lot of community work in terms of helping frontline workers. Some of our hotels were quarantine hotels, and so how do we use the opportunity to give back to the community, which is also a big part of our culture, right? And so that's so those are some of the things that we continue to do to help our associates navigate this time. We also partner with an organization that has an app called Equilibrium that is really around mental health, right? And so it's a tool that we made available to all our associates so that in their own time they can do you do basically an assessment of what are you struggling with, what are you challenged with right now, and then it will customize whether it's articles, very short articles. It's like 2 minutes of reading or an activity for you to do, just to help you manage your mental health or your mindfulness. So that was something that we made available to our associates. And I think different hotels, we also encourage different hotels to do different things, from the grassroots level up. So, yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, mental health certainly has come to the forefront. Not even not just in the workforce, but for everyone. I think had to stay at home. So that's great to hear that Marriott's been doing something about that. In terms of careers, you touched on careers just now. A question, I guess, to delve further into this is, what kind of programs do you have in place at Marriott, or what are some of the initiatives that you guys do to help employees really own their careers, and what are some of the innovation or work or progress you see happening in the area of career development?
Yeah, I think with Marriott, learning and development has always been a huge part of our company, and we believe that there's no better way to help take care of our associates is to help them grow their careers, and so a lot of times when we say take care, we think about taking care of them physically, We talk about taking care of the mental well-being. But another very important priority or need of our associates is financial, right? And yes, you can have workshops around managing your finances, managing your retirement. But really, if you think about it, just relying on the annual merit increases, that's not going to help them improve their livelihoods or improve the livelihoods of their families. So we, from Mr. Marriott down, we believe that one of the best ways we can help improve the livelihoods of our associates is to help them progress in their careers. So that's a big focus for us, and that's why you'll see people like myself, who've been with the company for a very long time.
Right.
Our vision is basically, lifelong learning and learning from the time you leave college until you get to very senior leadership level, right? And so, we have a graduate program, so programs for students coming out of some of the top universities, and how do we help fast track them into the entry management role. We have programs that help our associates at the rank and file level develop supervisory skills so they can become supervisors and then on to managers. And then, prior to the pandemic, fortunately, we also rolled out a new program, which we call Marriott Development Academy. And so the MDA basically focuses on developing our leaders through the different leadership levels, right? And so we would say at a manager level, what are the leadership competencies they'll have to develop? At the director level, what are the leadership competencies they have to develop? But also helping them develop it from a functional perspective as well, right? So if you're a manager in sales, what do you need to know? If you're a director in sales, what do you need to know, right? And so we have, curated, curriculum. It's mostly self-paced. It requires them to do project work and also interaction with their supervisor and mentor. And so that was something that we have launched and has made learning accessible for all our associates. And even if, for example, I'm in human resources, and I might say, hey, I'd really like to learn more about finance, right? There might be, something, I can just pick a course and do that on my own as well, without having to do the whole, certificate program.
Right. Great. And that gets, I guess, once you've done the course, that gets recognized across the whole of Marriott worldwide.
Well, it's hopefully yes, because this program was actually developed in Asia. It was developed out of a need for us because Asia is extremely fast growing. And so one of the challenges we've had is Marriott is growing so fast. I talked about, 75 hotels last year, 100 hotels this year, probably for the next few years. And how do we develop? Every hotel needs to have a general manager, needs to have a director of finance, a director of HR, right? And so how do we develop so many people quickly, right? And so this is sort of an initiative and a priority that we've developed. And now I think it's going to become a global program. It's kind of put on hold because of the pandemic, but eventually it will become a global program.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And you touched also a little bit on leadership. So in closing, it'd be great if you could share also, what are the programs or technology or innovation that you have in place for leadership development as well? And how does Marriott look at, leadership development within the organization?
I think we try to look at leadership not just from attending a program. Sometimes people think, okay, you attend a program and then you have, a 3-day leadership program and then you're a good leader, right? And we know that's not the case. So, obviously we do have leadership development programs. I think one of the innovations that's happened during COVID is we've had to take a lot of our leadership development programs and make them virtually instructor-led. So it's blended learning, there's self-paced learning, there's online learning, there's then virtual facilitation. And the good thing with doing it that way, you can kind of stretch it out, right? Because in the past, when people come together for a 3-day program, they come and they feel like, well, because I've just traveled from another country, another city here, I have to fit everything in the 3-day program, and then they kind of go back to work. But with this, arrangement, I think it actually works out better too, because it allows more flexibility with scheduling. But we're able to have, deliver content and send them off to do some reflection or exercise or practice, and then they come back again, later on and share what they've learned or how they've applied what they've learned. So I think that's that's kind of the approach that we're taking. A lot more around leadership development. We use projects. We try to do a lot of projects. We also use roles, right? So for example, we have for someone who's aspiring to become a general manager at a hotel, maybe currently they're the head of sales and marketing, right? And we have in some of our bigger hotels, we'll have a director of operations or a hotel manager role. So we have these kind of roles, as a stepping stone for them to, develop other functional knowledge, develop their leadership, sort of as a number 2 in the hotel in preparation to becoming general manager. So it's not a one size fits all, but we try to provide different avenues for people to develop, depending on what their background is, what their needs are. And what their capabilities are.
Right, and I imagine in terms of because Marriott is so international, would part of the leadership development also include moving people from country to country,
yes,
different environments, for them to be more rounded?
Yeah, I think the international mobility is big. I would have to say, because of the pandemic that was this last 2 years, there's a huge, just like there's a lot of focus on locals for locals. So, whether it's the products and service for the customers, it's, very much tailored to the local.
Right.
Similarly from a talent perspective, it's, it's hard to move people because countries aren't opening borders, and also there's a cost too, right? And so it's easier to keep the local talent. But in normal situations, we're a company that encourages global mobility. So we have the requirement that all jobs have to be posted in our recruitment site. So there's high visibility of what jobs are available out there, and people, if they meet the minimum requirement, the ability to apply for those jobs.
I see. Got it. And in terms of, I guess, leaders, say for a general manager, what are the important attributes that you guys look for to, that identifies a good leader for Marriott?
Wow, that's a broad question, and I don't think there's a one size fits all. And because every hotel may have a different need, so you may have a hotel that would want a general manager that has a sales and marketing background, or general manager that has a strong operations background, depending on what the need of that particular hotel is. But I would say, if we were to say what we expect from all our general manager, it's really around our core values. We would expect that every general manager leads and behaves in alignment with our core values. Things like, putting people first, things like acting with integrity, things around pursue excellence, continuous improvement. That our 5 core values are pretty much non-negotiable. And we also expect, when we talk about Marriott culture, we expect our leaders to lead from the front in accordance with the Marriott culture. And really, the core values is one of the ways to lead in accordance with our company culture.
Great. All right. Well, thanks so much for sharing with us, and it's been great having you on the series, Regan, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.